Hey guys. Anyways, I just got back from work. Yeah, and decided I'm gonna do this video because I'm bored. There's nothing to do, anyways. Yeah. So I guess what I wanted in this video, I'm gonna talk about my experience, like kind of like nomading. Yeah. My experience has been different than a lot of people's. Everybody kind of has their own idea of what nomading is and stuff, and isn't and everything. So, but I'll tell you my story. I'll tell you my nomading story. So, well, yeah, it was like, well, 2015 and 2016, somewhere around there. 2015, I guess, is when I really started thinking about it, and I had found some videos. I was like doing a lot of YouTube around that time, just watching a lot of YouTube. That's when I started my YouTube channel also, my first YouTube channel. And anyway, and then I started to see like videos on nomading. I was watching videos on like I was watching like not the what do you call it? I was watching like not the milk toast, nomad videos, but like the raw ones. You know, I started watching those, and I liked the raw shit. I always like when I would watch the YouTube. I always like the raw YouTube stuff, not the polished turd shit. You know, the the milk toast shit. I didn't like that. So I was watching like the raw videos, the nomad videos that were raw, and then and I would watch like the shit hits the fan survivalist videos, and I always like the raw ones with that too. I like the ones like where people would actually go out and do stealth camping, and then they would teach different methods of that of stealth camping and like survivalist shit. I like to watch that stuff. And shit was hitting the fan in 2015 and 2016. For a lot of people, I think. I know it was for me, and I lived in California at the time, and I had just gotten fired from my job, which I'm very proud of because I got fired for doing my job. It's kind of like similar to like if you worked in the health industry and you were to get fired for doing your job, like if you worked in the health industry during COVID and you started informing patients that COVID is fake and informing patients don't get the clot shot, well, you'd get fired from your job, or like cops who would get fired for actually doing their job, when you join like the health industry workforce, you have to toe the line. So if you join the health industry workforce and then COVID comes around and the mRNA shots, well, you have to promote the mRNA shots, and you have to toe the COVID narrative line, And don't you see that's a contradiction to your very job? Like if you were really to do your job as working in the health industry during COVID, your duty would be to tell people that COVID is fake and discourage them, or at least inform them of what the mRNA shot actually really is. you know, and then you would get fired from your job in the health industry for doing that. Or and same like if you in the police force, if you were to actually police real crime, you would likely end up getting fired. At the very least, you would be reprimanded often, and you would not be liked by your peers and your superiors if you were actually doing your job as a police officer. And it's the same in the homeless service provider field, you know. If you actually do your job in the homeless service provider field, you'll get fired. So I got fired from my job. And it was great. I was like, good. I'm glad. That means I'm doing something right, you know. I was over the target. That's what happens. I mean, I can repeat myself again. If you're working in the health industry and you're over the target regarding COVID and mRNA shots, well, you're going to get fired from your job. If you work in the police force and you're over the target as far as like policing real crime, you're going to get fired from your job. And it's the same in the homeless service provider field. If you're actually doing your job, you're going to get fired. 100%. This is the way the world works. You know, this is literally the way the world works. And I'm 51 years old. Younger people may not understand this to the degree that older people do. You know, they may understand it, but not to the degree. Like a millennial might understand what I'm saying, but not to the degree of someone like me, my age. Unless, you know, but you see, you have all these people of all ages, millennials, Zoomers, Gen Xers, Boomers, that a bunch of them, they just go along with all this, you know. They'll get a job in the health industry, and when COVID comes around, they'll just keep their mouth shut and toe the COVID narrative line because they, you know, they got to keep their job, you know. But if you really care about your job and you work in the health industry, well, you're going to risk your job to, you know, if you're principled, then you're going to want to warn people that COVID could be fake and the mRNA shots could actually be poisonous. You know, that's what you're going to do if you're principled and you work in the health industry. You're going to risk losing your job to keep the oath. What is that oath that people that work in the health industry have to take some kind of oath? You know, so do police. They have to take an oath. Well, if you actually are true to that oath in either of these fields, you're going to get fired. That's the way the world works. It's not even an exaggeration at all. So anyways, I got fired from my job for doing my job, which is hilarious, you know. And so, you know, and so that's when I decided, well, I'm just gonna leave this field entirely. I'm gonna abandon my career because that's what it's the same as that having a career in the health industry or a career in law enforcement. So I abandoned my career, sold everything I had, whatever I didn't sell, I gave it away to my friends, and I moved into my van, my minivan, and I just hit the road heading east, you know, just got away from California. This is another thing that a lot of people don't understand is like, you know, oh, why would you leave California? California is such a wonderful state. Like, there are people that are just, I literally have coworkers that are like just in awe of how awesome the state of California is. It's like, dude, that place is the biggest fucking shithole. Like, dude, I mean, it is just, it doesn't get any worse than California, but whatever. So I left California in early 26, was it? No, mid to late 2016, I think. And I just moved into my van, abandoned my career. Because also, I'm an outspoken kind of person, and I'm very committed to, you know, I'm set in my ways, and I'm very outspoken about my beliefs. Not in the sense that I try to preach it to people, but I will not I will not take the knee, so to speak. And I could already tell by 2015 and 2016 that was the direction that California was going, is that you must bend the knee if you live in California. And I knew that I wouldn't bend the knee, that I would stand firm, and that as a result of standing firm, I would likely end up getting killed if I didn't leave California. So fuck it. I just was like, I got nothing to lose anyways. Like, California's a shithole. The career that I've spent the last 10 years dedicating my life to is a shit show, like the health industry and law enforcement. It's all a big shit show. So what's the fucking point? So so I studied up on some shit online. And also because I already have like 10 years experience living on the street, you know. So like being a nomad, that's like nothing, dude. Like I could be teaching other people, easily teach other. So anyways, so I just basically infused my experience of being homeless with some nomad techniques that and I just kind of created my own approach and incorporated survival techniques and street life experience, etc., and just created my own system, which is totally different than everyone else's, you know. And I invested a good amount of money into gear, you know, and then I just left, and I had like tons of friends. I had tons of, fairly close friends. I was involved in the homeless service provider community. I was involved in the music, heavily involved in the music community, played in several bands over a span of like 15 years. So I was really involved in the music community in that area, and involved in a lot of other community, including, homeless service provider community and other communities. So I had built up a lot of friends and associates and colleagues and et cetera, and connections and everything else. And I just left it all behind. I was like, fuck it. I mean, I still stay in contact with them, a lot of those people, a good amount of those people anyways, but long distance relationships, whether it's friendship or otherwise, is always very challenging, And it wasn't anything personal against anyone. It was basically just the logical it was the logical action to take for me, And so I left California in late 2016 and started my nomad journey. Okay. Now, there was one video that really inspired me, and it was is still on YouTube. The video was a what's it called? RV. The name of the channel is called RV Living or something, with Bob Wells. Cheap RV Living, that's right. The YouTube channel is called Cheap RV Living. Is with Bob Wells. Okay. Now, Cheap RV Living channel was a lot different in 2015 and 2016 than it is now. Okay, it's a lot different. Okay. And but back then there was one video that really inspired me, and it was called. It was either called Work for Nomads or Jobs for Nomads. Okay. See, so this is the thing you need to know about a lot of the whole nomading thing. So you've got like trust fund babies. They can easily nomad because they've got money in the bank and they've got parents that they can fall back on, and et cetera, et cetera. So you have those people. Well, I'm not one of those people, so I'm not gonna approach nomading like they do. And then you've got people that get SSI checks regularly. Well, I don't get any income like that. I don't get just $1,000, $1,200 SSI checks once a month. I don't get that. You know, if I did, dude, it would be a lot. My nomad life would be a lot different than it is. But so, anyways, so that's what his Bob Wells video was about. It was for people that don't have any income. So it was called Jobs for Nomads or Work for Nomads. And it's actually a good video. It's about 25 minutes long. But I like listening to, you know, I know a lot of people, they like to watch like 2-minute videos or something. I'm not really into that. But anyways, he made a bunch of really good points. Bob Wells made a bunch of really good points, compelling evidence that shows that nomad is the way. It's nomading is the way. It's the most feasible way in today's economy, today's society. The way everything is going, it's more feasible to just live in a van and nomad, you know, stay on the move, travel, etc., etc. And so Bob Wells did a video for people that don't get SSI checks and aren't trust fund babies. He did a video for them and showed them, look, here are jobs you can get as a nomad. So, hey, what's up, man? How's it going, man? So, I watched, and he went over like the beet harvest is one of the jobs. He went over the beet harvest, and he went over like Amazon. What was that called? The Amazon job no longer exists. It hasn't existed for many years. What was it called though? It was called. Oh, I can't remember. I can't remember what it was called, but Amazon had this thing where it would hire people who travel. And Amazon would hire them seasonally because Amazon gets really busy during the Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year holidays. And so they would hire nomads and you know, I guess like give them a place to park their RV and hookups and all that shit. So Bob Wells went over all these jobs for nomads where you could work these jobs and work seasonally and make enough money to where you could travel. And then some of the jobs were like campground host jobs in national forests and all this other stuff. And I was like looking at all this like, dude, this is it. This is my new career. I'm going to fucking get involved in this. I'm going to go hook up jobs at the fucking beet harvest and Amazon and campground host jobs and just work seasonally and, you know, save enough money to be able to take vacations once or twice a year and go travel and shit. And so that's what I did. You know? And so I decided to do that. So I sold all my shit, abandoned my career. I could have stayed in the career I was in because, you know, I was one of the best street outreach workers in the field in California. Like, you know, that's just the way it is, you know. And I like to use this phrase, it was no virtue of mine. The only reason I was so good at street outreach for the homeless service provider field and in the homeless service provider field is because I spent 10 years living on the streets. Like, there's no better education than actually experiencing living homeless on the streets for 10 years. Like, you don't get a better education than that in the homeless service provider field, you know. And there are people in the field that know this, you know. And when I got hired, it was like I was born for that job. And I loved it. I loved the job. But it was the politics. Like, it's such a corrupt field. That's why I compare it to the health industry and law enforcement, because it literally is. It's the exact same thing. So I wasn't going to stick around for that. Why? For money? You know. See, I don't just do stuff for money. You know, I really don't. And I know people look up to people that they just do stuff for money and it's all about money. For some reason, people look up to that. I don't. I think it's a joke, you know. And like when I worked in the field, I met and was associated with people that were rich, and they envied me because the job that I had meaning, whereas their jobs, they were just meaningless. They had no. The only meaning of their jobs was money, and they were rich, but they didn't find any meaning in their work, only money. And these are like rich people that they would meet me and we would get acquainted, and they would end up envying me because my job had meaning and purpose other than just money. And I was just making just enough money to live. That's it, you know. I was like, which is fine with me, you know. So whatever, like success, the idea of success is subjective. Like I said, I mean, I knew, and you know, still know rich people that saw what I was doing for a living and envied me because what I did had meaning and purpose, whereas what they did had none, had no purpose or meaning, even though they made a lot of money doing it. You know? So success is subjective. Success is not defined by money at all, like at all. It's funny how so many people just this doesn't seem to register with them. They just don't get it. You know? They think everything is about money. That's because money is a religion, and you and I and everyone have all been brainwashed to believe that everything is about money when it's not. Money is a fake system. Money is just as fake and rigged and gay as the voting system. You know, it's like, but whatever, who cares? Who cares? You know, RichieLikesGold.com, you know, get your money out of the banks. Click on Richie from Boston's RichieLikesGold.com link. Do it now because the interdimensional beings, invisible interdimensional beings are coming, you know, to steal all your money. Anyways, so I get out on the road, right? And then I end up in this little tiny town in the desert out in the middle of nowhere in Arizona. And the first reason I stayed there is because like the cops didn't care if you lived in a car in that town. Like they wouldn't fuck with you. And I was like, no way. It's the only place in the entire country that's like it. And people will try to argue, no, this place and that place, and it's bullshit. This is like the only place in the entire country that's like this, where you can live in your van and go there and live in your van in this town indefinitely, and the cops will like never fuck with you, and neither will the business owners, unless you're causing problems, unless you're, you know, selling heroin out of the back of your van or having big fucking DMT parties out of the back of your van. Well, then yeah, the cops are gonna fuck with you, and so are business owners. But if you're respectful and you don't fucking just like take a shit out in the parking lot, then they'll leave you alone. You know, if you leave them alone, they'll leave you alone. It's if you start causing problems, and a lot of people are just, that's all they do is they just cause problems. No matter what they do or where they are, their number one modus operandi is to cause problems. And I don't understand those people. Like, what the fuck is why do you even exist? Your whole existence is just to cause problems for other people. What a pathetic existence, you know. But no, if you just mind your own business and you're living in a van, no business owner or cop will ever fuck with you in this town. And so I fell in love with it immediately. I planted my flag. I'm like, well, fuck this. I'm definitely going to be traveling, but one thing I know for certain, this is my home base because I can live in my van, and as long as I'm just minding my own business and not fucking with people, like, nobody cares. It's the only place like it in the entire country. And again, I know people people always try to argue, oh no, there's this one place, and it's all bullshit. It's total bullshit, dude. Dude, I lived on the street for fucking 10 years. I did street outreach for over 10 years. And I've nomaded now for like 8 years. And I got a pretty good pulse on shit, for real. I know it's hard to believe. I know your self-serving ego is really making it hard for you to believe that, but not my problem. So anyways, so I'm in this town, right? And so then I realized, like, oh, and the other thing too about this town is it's super easy to find under the table work. Not that I care about under the table or over the table, but like over the table work if you work on the books, you have to look the way they want you to, you have to wear the clothes they want you to, and all this other stupid shit that I won't tolerate it. I'm not gonna wear the clothes that you want me to wear. Like, fuck off. It's not worth it to me. I don't care. You need to be paying me a lot of money if you're gonna dictate the clothes that I wear. Then I want a lot of money, and none of these employers are willing to pay fair wages for what the expectations that they put on people. So I don't take those jobs. I take under the table jobs, because under the table jobs, they don't tell me how I should look and what I should wear. Like, I could have a fucking beard down to my fucking belly button and hair and long hair down to the middle of my back, and they won't care. They'll hire me because they need fucking workers. You know what I'm saying? So just to me, I would rather just work. And then usually those jobs I can smoke while I'm working a lot of the time. So I can have long hair down my back. I can have a beard down to my belly button, and I can smoke cigarettes while I work. I'm gonna take that job over some over the table job where I have to fill out a W-2 form, and I have to cut my hair and shave my beard and wear their stupid clothes, and it's not worth it. They don't pay what it's worth to do that anyways. So fuck you. I'm not doing it. I don't fucking care. Fuck off. There's plenty of there's a fucking sucker born every minute that'll gladly take that job. And fucking good for you if you can do that shit. Not my bag. So that was another thing that was great about this town, is like I could fucking get jobs like nobody's business, with hair down to the nape of my fucking, or down to the whatever of my back, and fucking big giant beard, and I'd get hired, and I could smoke on the job. It's like, this is gold. It doesn't get any better than this. So I planted my flag there, right? So I start working, man. And then this is the other thing. Like, because I don't drink alcohol, I don't smoke weed, I don't do any mind-altering intoxicants, because of that, like, employers looked at me like, oh my God. Because most people they hire, they're fucking druggies and drunks, and they show up hungover. They show up to work hungover, and they show up stoned, and they're smoking weed on the job and all this other shit. See, I don't do any of that. And because I don't do any of that, my mind is clearer. So I can think. I'm able to comprehend and understand what the boss needs more clearly than the average employee, you know? So even though I'm just I'm just like mediocre worker to all these employers, I'm like, I'm shining like a diamond. Like, they all wanted to hire me, right? They're like, this guy's the best fucking worker we've ever seen, because they're used to hiring a bunch of hungover drunks and stoners, and then, a lot of these drunks and stoners are thieves and liars and cheaters and all this other shit too. And I don't do any of that shit. Like, I just don't, And that's not out of virtue either. That's out of self-preservation. I don't like bad karma. That's why I don't steal. I don't like bad karma. That's why I don't cheat. I don't like bad karma. That's why I don't. I don't make it. I'm not in the habit of lying. And I don't like being hungover. That's why I don't drink. I don't like my mind being all fogged up where I can only think at half capacity. That's why I don't smoke weed. And I don't like to be around people that drink and do DMT and LSD and smoke weed because they're all a bunch of drama. I mean, I got nothing against them, but I don't like drama. And the majority of the people that drink alcohol and party and blast off on DMT and do LSD, they're always drama around them. There's always like some big drama going on all the time. I don't like drama. That's why I'm a loner too, and I keep to myself. I don't like drama, right? And so employers are like, this guy's fucking, he's the best. So everybody wants to hire me, right? In my first year there. And so after my first year, I'm working for one of the biggest gem and mineral dealers in the country. He sold Nicolas Cage the world's largest amethyst. It was so big that Nicolas Cage had to remove a wall from his mansion to get the amethyst inside his house. You know, I worked for within the first year, I'm working for the biggest motherfuckers. And it's not easy work either, by the way. And I worked for a lot of these guys, you know. Like a lot of these jobs are seasonal, so I'll get like 3 or 4 different jobs. But like my main one was working for the gem and mineral dealer, who's the big time fucking baller, multi-million-dollar operation. And you have an average crew of like 4 or 5 people at most, you know. And it was cool because then I'm traveling. They're doing shows in Denver. They're doing shows in Houston. They're doing shows in Dallas. They're doing shows in LA. So I am traveling. I'm nomading, and then that little town was my home base. And then you know, I got a pretty decent reputation. And so in my downtime, other people wanted to hire me, you know, shit like this. It's like whatever. So that's the way that goes. But anyway, and so, but because of these reasons, and then like, see, the thing too is that when you become somewhat of a coveted like asset to these kinds of guys, you know, they start putting more responsibility, which there's perks involved though. So like, they would want me to watch their property because the jobs are seasonal, and you know, these are multi-million-dollar operations, and they might be away for like 3 months, and they need somebody to watch their property. And so when I started working for them, they could trust me, and so they're like, okay, dude, you're the guy that manages the property. And so then I would get free rent, free electric, and free water. And then I would work these jobs. They'd be like 2-month jobs, you know, 3-month jobs, and then I have like 3 months off. But during that 3 months off, I'm just watching their property. And then because other people know me, then they would want me to work for them, and so I'd go work for them while I'm managing the property. And so then I've got like 4 or 5 different employers, and I'm fucking, you know, working all these different jobs here and there, and so that's what my nomad experience became. It kind of got out of control because I had a certain vision for what I wanted to do, but when I started getting bogged down in these jobs, which it isn't a bad thing, and I learned a lot. So I learned how to drive a forklift, okay, was for one thing, okay. It's like when I started working for this big time gem and mineral dealer, he just threw me on the forklift. He just assumed I knew how to drive a forklift, and he's like, go get on the forklift, I need you to do this. And I'm like, and he looks at me, he's like, you don't know how to drive a forklift? And I'm like, no. And he goes, dude, it's easy. Just get up there. Just get on. And so he was like insisting. He's like, no, just get on the fucking forklift. Turn the key. dude, it's easy. And see, and that's cool. Because like if you work for like UPS or something, they're not gonna like be, okay, get on the forklift, and then they see you don't know how to drive a forklift. They're not gonna be like, dude, just go, it's easy, just jump on the forklift, turn the key, there's 3 things, you do this to go this, you do this, and then the just get up there and do it, because I need you to do it, blah, blah. They wouldn't do that. They'd be like, okay, bro, you're gonna have to get certified and all this shit. So, I learned really quick how to drive a forklift. And then because they needed a forklift driver, I'm driving that fucker all day. And I'm moving thousands of pounds of fucking crystals of precious gems and minerals, like crystals the size of a fucking car and shit. Like quartz crystals the size of a fucking car. Shit like this. And they just threw me right in the mix. And then they were like glad that I was the forklift, because their last forklift driver was a drunk and a druggie and a stoner and a thief and a liar and all this other shit. So when they got me, they're like, oh my God, this guy is like, everybody's like, dude, yeah, everybody's happy because I'm driving the forklift, And so it was a really great experience, Of course, you got to take the bad with the good and everything. There was a lot of bad shit. A lot of good shit, but even the bad, this is a thing in life. Bad experiences that seem bad in the moment, when you look back in your life, those end up being like the best experiences you ever had. Like me living on the street for 10 years. During the time, it was a nightmare. It was like I was literally living in a nightmare. But looking back on it now, it's like, wow, what a fucking ride, bro. What a life I've lived. Fucking holy shit. And most people don't have the experience that I have. They just fucking don't. When talking about homelessness alone, like most people have no idea. It is a completely different reality. It's like living on another fucking planet, being homeless. But my point is like, experiences that a person has in life that in the moment seem really terrible, later on in life, looking back, you find that those are the most like meaningful, awesome, intense, just like wow experiences of your life. Like when I talk about what happened with my psycho ex, where in 2 weeks it went from just like whatever to in 2 weeks I get dragged into the middle of a murder investigation, I get a death threat put out on me, and then my whole place that I live burns to the ground, along with the neighboring 4-bedroom house and like all in 2 weeks, because my girlfriend just went totally fucking psycho out of the blue, which is probably because she got hooked on meth and shit and just went totally psycho. Overnight she just went psycho. Like, what an experience that was. And in the moment, it was terrible. It was a nightmare. But I got through it somehow. It was a miracle that I even survived, honestly. And then looking back, it's just one of those wow moments where it's like, wow, that's the kind of shit that you see on the forensic files and shit. That's the kind of shit that they make movies about, shit like that, dude. And another thing, too, like I've had many UFO sightings since I moved into my van and left California. I've seen fucking UFOs, dude, a lot of times. Compared to your average person, I've seen you. It's like I'll watch Richie from Boston and I just laugh because he's like desperately trying to see a UFO and get video of a UFO, and I can tell by the way he acts he's never seen one. Like he'll get this crappy video because he keeps his camera at the sky all 24 hours, and then he'll find something that's like really lame and he'll get all excited and he'll do a whole video like, look at this, this is a UFO, this is an angel, and he'll zoom in, and it's like, dude, this shit comparing to the shit that I've seen is like, dude, he hasn't seen nothing, bro. Like, I've seen fucking real fucking UFO shit. compared to Richie from holy shit, you can tell the guy's never seen any. It's like as desperate as he like whatever. But anyways, yeah. So I've good times, bad times. It's you got to take the bad with the good in everything. But like, but no, but yeah. So I learned a lot. I've learned a lot. Like I learned how to drive a forklift. Okay, so they throw me on the forklift. And then I'm doing better than their other forklift drivers because they're all drunks and stoners and druggies and liars and thieves. And so when I start driving the forklift, they're all shocked at how good I am. And I'm just like, what? But then, so then I'm driving the forklift all the time and I'm getting better and better and better. And then the next thing you know, like I'm like, dude, I've had to, like certified forklift drivers had to get off of their forklift and ask me to do it for them because they couldn't do it. And so I'm like driving other companies' forklifts because they can't do it at these big gem and mineral shows we're at. Like these big gem and mineral shows we're at, these big fucking, where there's like 100 vendors. And my boss is like the fucking owner of the show. And they're, some of these vendors are hiring forklift drivers to come in because they have to move all this shit, and the forklift drivers can't do it because it's like they don't know how to do it, and so I would have to do their job for them and shit. It's hilarious, bro. Like you're a professional you're making a living. That's your job is drive for it. You can't fucking do this, dude. I do this shit fucking all the time. I'm not rude about it, but it's just crazy, And I learned a ton about like gems and minerals and stuff, and I worked around the hardest people. I'm talking like I'm working with prison fucking birds. I'm working with some of the roughest, hardest, meanest fucking people, and I work for the meanest, the most just most people wouldn't even last more than a day or two on the jobs that I'm at. They would walk off, they couldn't handle it. And the hardest part is the bosses. These bosses are fucking cutthroat outlaws. They are like some of the roughest, meanest fucking people. And I've trust me, dude. You don't know how many people I've seen come on a job, and within a couple of days they're gone. And these are jobs I worked at like 6 years and shit. Like this shit is, you learn patience and tolerance. But anyways, so I'm working like the biggest gem and mineral shows in the country. I'm working for the biggest gem and mineral dealers in the country, like, I mean, on a personal level. I'm not talking like this big massive crew of 20 or 30 people. No, I'm talking about some of the biggest gem and mineral dealers in the country. They have a little tiny skeleton crew of like 4 people, And so I'm riding with the boss. I'm riding with the owner all the time. We're shooting the shit. He's got me driving his vehicle or driving, trucks, fucking driving forklifts, whatever. Just, and it's totally insane work. It's basically, it's practically like you're just on call 24/7. It's complete insanity. It's totally insane. And like I said, most people can't. They just can't. They can't do it, man. Mm-mm. And honestly, I don't blame them. But anyway, so now I'm working for. Now I'm in the antique business, which the antique and gems and minerals, the antique business and gem and mineral business go. There's a lot of crossover, right? And all these guys, they all know each other anyways, and they're all making big bucks, and they're all fucking outlaws, and they're all fucking mean motherfuckers. They're just mean motherfuckers. That's it. And all they care about is money. That's it, right? And so now I'm working for an antique type dealer guy at the, you know, the country's largest antique show, you know. And right now I'm in Texas. I won't be doing as much traveling with this job as far as the job, but it'll free me to do more of my own traveling. But anyways, so my experience nomading is different than other people's. Everybody has their own experience, and like people that have, for example, people that have you know, $1,200 social security checks coming in once a month, dude. Like if I had that, it would be so easy. Life would be like easy street. Again, this goes back to my experience being homeless, living on the street for 10 years, dude. Like if you've lived on the street for 10 years, you've slept in the most fucked up place. Like I've slept in areas that was infested with fucking cockroaches, the size of a fucking silver dollar, you know. Where I woke, I didn't know, and I woke up and there's cockroaches everywhere. And I'm like, oh my God, I've slept in the most sordid fucking places, dude. To where like sleeping in a van is nothing. That's like that's like heaven. It's like nothing. It's a joke, you know. So, you know. So, anyways, so yeah, but I have to work, you know. And that's what, going back to that video, that cheap RV living video, Bob Wells, and he talks about, he does videos for people that don't have social security checks and how you can nomad, and it's a lot harder. I guarantee you, it's a lot harder to do it that way than it is to just, you know, receive a social security check. If I was getting a social security check, holy shit, dude. Like it would be my life would just be a permanent fucking vacation, dude. No shit, dude. I ain't even kidding you, bro. Like it would be on and fucking cracking, man. It would be insane. But it's been a overall. So I've been doing this is a particular kind of nomading. It's not the kind of nomading you see on milquetoast YouTube videos, you know. It's like, no, you're working for fucking outlaws. You're getting your fucking ass kicked on the job, in the cut. You're working 7 hours a day for 7 days a week for fucking 2-3 months at a time. And oftentimes it's like 16, 17-hour days, 7 days a week for months. And you're basically on call 24/7 year round. And it's like, it's totally insane. And there's ebbs and flows. It'll like get really super insane, and then it'll calm way the fuck down. It's all extreme. It's extreme, which is cool because I'm used to extreme. Like if you've lived on the street for 10 years, you become accustomed to the extreme, where extreme is your comfort zone. Like you don't feel at all at ease when things are just level, you know. Like, no, you're used to extreme, and so then, you know what I mean. And so yeah, it's like more in my element and stuff. And I suppose a lot of things are extreme, but there's a lot of things too there where I just look at these people and it's like they don't even break a sweat at all. And they're just leisurely. Everything is a big leisure time, and they make a decent living, just not even ever breaking a sweat or anything. It's like, what the fuck? I don't relate, man. We're definitely not operating on the same level of reality. That's for sure. You know? No offense, but I mean, I don't have anything against it, but it's not the same. And so yeah, and then as a result of all this experience, which started when I decided I'm going to live in my van and head out into the unknown, okay? And this is what I've stumbled upon. and I've been involved in for like 7.5 years or more. And now it's evolved even further to the point where there's new horizons, and I haven't talked about it, and I'm not really going to talk about it. I might at some point in the future as it develops, you know. But now it's getting even crazy. It's like now I'm entering into a bigger thing that's like way fucking more. It's going to be way more off grid. I mean, it's a whole new level. And I'm right. It's just I'm right at the beginnings of it. It's like just starting, and it's just developing, and so we'll see what happens. But it's cool. Oh, and I will say though. So during all this, you know, after I started my journey in late 2016, by like 2018, late 2018, I had met a chick and got involved in a relationship, and that not only was totally insane, like I could write a book and do a movie just about that alone. But also it put everything on pause, because all of a sudden I'm in a relationship with this chick, and so everything that I had going on, all the different opportunity, it all was like on pause. Because I mean, I was still doing it, but I was waiting for her. I'm like, okay, I'm doing all this stuff. Like, what do you think? Like, what do you want to do? And this girl is just like totally lost. And I'm thinking, okay, she seems like she has the potential to come around, so I'll wait for a while. And I waited way too long, and she not only did she not come around, she went way off the deep end, out of the blue. Like she could have gotten involved in what I was doing, working for this multi-million-dollar operation in the gem and mineral business. Like they were going to hire her and everything, and she was working at a fucking fast food restaurant. And I'm like, babe, wouldn't you rather work in the gem and mineral business in a multi-million-dollar operation where you're working with crystals and you're interacting with, you know, all these people that buy crystals, and like, I mean, you know, you're like a vegetarian hippie. Why would you want to work at a fucking fast food restaurant? Why not just, I mean, you're all hippied out into crystals and all this shit, and you're against like poisonous food, and so why not? My boss already told me to tell you that they'd be happy to have you work for them. So what do you think? What do you think? What do you want to do? And the chick's just like, you know, people are like that, bro, in all kinds of stuff. Like I've talked about how I've been in different bands, dude. I've been in bands where we were like on the cusp of mega fucking shit, and as soon as the band got to the point where we're like, it's like we're about to get signed or something, then all of a sudden the band members are acting weird and then end up quitting. Coincidentally, they just don't want to be in the band anymore when the band is like ready to get signed and shit like this. Like I've seen this time and time again, and it's the same like with this chick. Is like she has a chance to, instead of working at fast food, to like get involved in something that she enjoys, hippy dippy crystal shit and all, and she's like a deer in a headlight. Oh my god, she doesn't know what to do, and then she ends up just flipping the fuck out, going full retard and jumping off a fucking edge of a cliff. It's like, what the fuck? And so I wasted like 3 years of my life. I wouldn't say it was wasted time, but like everything that I was doing got put on pause for 3 years because of this chick who's just like a deer in the headlights. And I'm like trying to hold her hand. Okay, babe, this is probably what you want to do next. You know, don't you think this might be a good choice? You know, it's like, hello. And like I, she just went full retard, man. She's boom. She just like spontaneously combusted like the drummers do in the movie Spinal Tap. She just spontaneously combusts when she's presented with an opportunity to actually do something meaningful instead of work at Carl's Jr. She just spontaneously combusts. Gotta find a new drummer, dude. We can't do the tour right now because the drummer spontaneously combusted, bro. Oh man, that's the third time this year, man. Watch Spinal Tap, man. I'm telling you. Anyways, see you, boys.